My home studio.
We're making it work.
Yes, thank you. Welcome to Hobby Hangout here again on Thursday here in rainy East Coast territory. My name is Leona. We have Dave Taylor over here, Master Painter, Gretchen, Master Painter, and Jeff, a friendly face here. Welcome, Jeff.
The best part of all that is that Jeff is the best painter.
I don't know about that.
He's the
I don't know about that.
Master of the market.
I feel like some of my art teachers, if they heard me be like called a master painter, would just sit there and be like,
What's in a title?
We're
Did
all
your
mastering
final,
our
like,
own right.
the day before.
Very good.
Oh, good.
Well, welcome, Jeff. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. No, not really. I'm just going to sit here and I'll be quiet. Yeah. No,
haven't met Jeff before.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen me before, either on Twitch or Instagram or something else like that, I go by RogueShader online, and I've been painting miniatures since the RogueShader book came out. So a long time. You'd think I'd actually be better. With the amount of time that I've been doing it, I don't think the skills are commensurate with the actual length of time.
Surprise, this is actually a special on imposter syndrome.
But yeah.
Very nice. Well, here on Hobby Hangout, we like to continue with our hobbies. So Dave, what are you working on this week?
I'm kind of not sure what I should be working on. I think that I am going to actually do some work on this guy.
Oh, he is a big guy.
He is.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
He is called a Castigator. The Imperial Knight. And he has armor plates and that kind of thing that I'll probably work on the armor plates today. Most of the work on the legs has been done. I've got a lot of work to do on the base yet. So I think I'll probably work on him.
Nice.
Sitting there so you can see his face.
So you're going to be working on the face?
No, not the face. I won't work on the face. I'll probably work on the all of the armor plates.
Gotcha.
But, like, it's his carapace at the top. The reason I've got the armor plates are all separate is so that I could use, I could spray them with some different colors. So I've got black and white on here, on the shoulder pads, and then some of the other armor plates are, I can't quite see that, but that's red.
Yep.
And everything on the legs before I put these armor plates on it was sprayed black so that it was easy to dry brush all the metal onto it. So it's kind of obviously because it's such a big model, working in sub-assemblies is a good way to go.
Nice.
So yeah, that's what I think I'll be working on. I won't get it done by the end of the show.
What?
I know.
You're fired.
So out of character, Dave.
I figured I'd take it like an hour off in the middle of the show.
Okay.
And as Gretchen said, it is completely out of character. She said it completely sarcastically because the last... When we were in the studio, I think the last like 4 weeks that we were in the studio, I didn't quite finish the models.
That's okay though, because I did. So I felt like I leveled up. I was like, yes!
How did I know that was
that one day that you tried to paint like 4 Power Rangers or something?
I'm sure it was only 3, but yes.
All in like 1 hour.
I only speed paint now. That's it. That's all. Who actually needs to take time?
That's good.
No one.
Jeff, what are you working on today?
Let's see. I'll switch to the fancy cam. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoops. Let's do the other one. Yeah. So today I'm working on this. I'm working on a battle company of Lord of the Rings or Middle Earth, the tabletop game from Games Workshop. Working on some of the elves, doing some gold non-metallics on his armor, and then I'm probably going to work on the sword while we're on cam because walking and chewing gum at the same time is difficult for me. So talking and painting, I have a shot at getting some progress done on like a sword. But yeah, that's what I'm working on today.
That's fair. That is fair. Yeah, I
love
think
it.
the first episode, Dave didn't paint like anything. We just chatted for it.
But I get quiet. Like, that's my problem. I get invested and I'm like, I gotta paint well, and then I just shut up.
Yeah. And that's fair. And so, Gretchen, what are you going to be working on today?
Well, and I did send you 2 pictures.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did, so that people had context. So I'm going to be working on a paid commission with acrylics that I am being commissioned for by a friend of mine who does HEMA, sword fighting, with me. So he commissioned based on his wife misspoke and created a kind of inside joke. And so he has this picture of a captain, Alfieri, who is, which I probably pronounced wrong, but his wife misconstrued it as asking if he was related to Guy Fieri. So he gave, I'm going to do a parody of that old-timey picture in acrylics. So I have the mock-up sketch here, and then I have what I started on in acrylics here. So I'm going to be mostly blocking in and filling in all the colors today, hopefully, to just get paint on the canvas. And because it's acrylic, if I mess up or if it's not perfect, that's fine. It'll dry. I can slop stuff over it. But yeah, so in the original, the guy, yeah, there he is. He's a captain, and he's kind of like a Landsknecht kind of guy, and he's holding... I was about to call that pike. It's fine. But he's going to be holding a montante in my version, which is a very big sword that the friend who wanted this commission uses. He learned from a different friend. They have a whole montante group.
Is that what a montante is?
Yeah, it is a montante. So I'm 5'3" for reference. So... That is, it's a big sword, and it's primarily used very defensively, and you do these big sweeping, swinging motions about it. The guy who uses that sword is 6'4".
Right.
But he thinks it's funny whenever tiny people, big sword. It's a fun. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to be working on.
That's awesome. And good. And it's good. All the things are colliding into one awesome picture.
There's gonna be a lot. And he's gonna hang it up in his house to see wave every day.
Maybe you can make prints of this, you know?
I know her. She's a very nice lady, and she was unhappy that he commissioned it. And I was like, no, it's
on
acrylics, on the canvas, in your house forever.
Awesome.
I want to say hi to people in the chat real quick.
Yes.
We have Michael Patrick Connor tuning in from Facebook. Kat notes that hello Kat, and I apparently have the wrong date. So I'm living in last week apparently. So that's fine.
Who knows what week it is?
I know, right? I don't know what day.
It's the 57th of something.
Hello, Clive. Hello, Byron. And hello, Michael Harris. And other people who are in the chat as well. So
excellent.
We appreciate you being here. In case anyone is wondering what I'm going to be doing, I found some what's it called? Dice in my house that need to be.
What's it called? I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, I know it's what's it called? Can you see it? Oh, come on. Anyway, they need to be repainted, and so I'm painting over the
Okay.
You're like relettering them?
The numbers, yeah, because they're really hard to see. So
cool.
That is something that I'm going to be.
Sometimes you just need to do that.
Yep. Partly because the miniature that I was trying to paint, I've decided to wait until I get miniature paints.
Right.
To continue with that. So basically I need to reprime it and then start over.
Okay.
Which is fine. Oh, Chris says, oh boo, GTM, another work meeting, but don't tell them that I'm painting this Reaper Nun with a gun.
Shh, we won't tell anybody.
Your secret is safe.
Excellent.
Very good. Oh, I forgot to grab water. That's unfortunate.
Oh. And you're stuck here now because you're not allowed to leave because we can't operate things. Jeff can probably do it remotely, but we can't.
I need full access to the Gibson.
So, Jeff, have you played the Middle Earth game by Games Workshop?
You know, I have not at all.
Oh.
Like so many things.
Just a painter, not a player.
Yeah, I wanna play it. Yeah, I want to play it, and then I don't actually get around to doing it. This is part of like a unit though, like a battle company. So like there are other guys in this unit that my hope was to play at Adepticon 2020. Well, and that didn't happen. So maybe next year.
Next year,
Yeah.
2021. Yep, that'll be good.
Yeah, that was too bad that all had to.
Yep.
Oh, wow. There's a fun fact from Michael Harris. Original Dungeons and Dragons dice came without any paint, just plastic and a crayon to rub across the numbers to make them easier to read.
I had no idea.
It was a wonderfully heady time in the 70s. You could do all sorts of things.
Well, I saw that online where people were talking about using crayon. The only problem is mine are not, the numbers aren't like grooved.
Oh, okay.
They're actually the opposite.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So that's why I have to paint on top of them.
That's why the paint's wearing off them, obviously. Yeah. Okay.
They're also green on a green background. It's just a little bit difficult to see.
That's a little odd.
Excellent. I just noticed there was a question from Clive Mills. Hey Dave, how can you best spray a normal 28mm mini with different base or prime coats or different colors? So I'm going to guess that you're asking about sort of something about this sort of size. So this is a Space Marine, Primera Space Marine from Games Workshop. So the easiest way, or the I guess the most regular way that people do it is by using sub-assemblies, meaning that you don't put absolutely everything together. You only put what you need to sort of together to get it to get the sections separate. So if you wanted to do like a yellow base coat on this guy and a black backpack and a black helmet, you'd leave the helmet and the backpack off, and you'd spray those separately, and then you can just spray the rest of the model yellow. That's kind of the standard way of doing it. Sometimes that doesn't work out perfectly. Sometimes a model won't be sort of constructed that way, or it might be a single piece model. With that, you can go along, you might be able to go along, spray a base color over the whole thing, whatever the largest color is going to be used, you're going to be using, or whatever the core of the model is going to be. And then once that's completely dry, you kind of mask it off. Mask off the areas making that color, and then spray the other areas. So sometimes you can do that with masking tape. Sometimes you can do it with like a piece of cardboard. It's like a piece of cardboard in behind the gun, or cut out a little channel. Let me just tear this little.
Silly putty works really awesome too as a masking.
Oh yeah.
Kind of thing. So yeah, and then, as Jeff said, silly putty is great for that too. So there are a couple of different ways to go about it.
Nice. That's awesome. We have some friends, I think, who are watching from our group in Painting Happy Little Minis, so we can't actually see their Facebook name, but they got an email yesterday that the brass pens they ordered will be here next week. So they're going to have brassy brass from one of their local game stores has a curbside pickup, which is pretty cool.
That's
Excellent.
awesome.
It's really nice.
I had to admit to my wife last night that I was excited that games and stuff, my local game store, now able to do shipping.
Yes. I saw that.
So yeah, I placed. So I'm doing some after I finish this big guy, this Castigator Knight. Working on a another Knight army for Warhammer 40,000, but it's going to be a Chaos Knights.
Okay.
So they have a lot of different stuff on them. They've got a lot of different spikes and tubes and pipes and that kind of thing. And I didn't have. There were a lot of things I didn't have, so I was able to get in touch with Jeff Hall, friend of the show, and operations manager at Games and Stuff, and say, "Hey Jeff, do you guys have any styrene rods, specifically between 3mm and 5mm?"
I mean, that's not a request that you can make of just anybody. Like, do you have any styrene rods between 2mm and 8mm?
You can't. It's great. And but he was able to go, okay, yes, we have like a 3.2mm tube. We've got a 3.2mm rod. We've got a 4mm tube and a 4.8mm tube. And I was like, they sound perfect. Please send me to them. That was yesterday.
And it got here today.
It arrived today.
Perfect.
So I'm going to be doing some converting this evening. I'm very excited about that. But I was also able to, like last week, it was like, hey Jeff, do you have this Chaos Knight and this box set and that box set? And he was like, yeah, sure. And I said, okay, whack them all in a box. Let me know how much I owe you.
Yeah.
And they arrived the next day. It's like, this is great.
That's
so
amazing.
much easier than actually going to the store.
You're like, I'm going to keep doing this no matter what.
Dave's never going to leave. Dave's like quarantined forever now. Sorry.
Exactly. But no, it is great that folks are able to access their hobby through their local stores.
100%. Also, I want to say hello to Scott on Twitch. Thanks for joining us. And also, someone on Facebook says, thanks, Dave, for the tip last week about spraying the seal coat for the D&D minis that were molded in blue. Paint went on great that time, and I have not posted pics yet, but hopefully post them in the group later. So
yep, that was Roger Moore.
Oh, nice.
At the moment, I also have up on my other screen, I have Facebook up, so I can see get to see the.
See, I just thought you memorized everyone in the group and just could tell from their typing habits. You're just like, yes.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly how I do it.
You know,
that was Mark Banner was the one talking about his local game store.
Oh, nice. Cool. Nice.
So definitely good. Cool. I should probably get started.
Yeah, you're behind the curve, Dave.
I am. I think it was because I said I'm not going to finish this, and I was like, if I'm not going to finish it, why bother starting? I didn't know.
Also, Thomas says, is it Plastruck? Plastruck? Is that the way to pronounce it? Yep. Those products are great. They usually find them at train hobby stores.
Yep. The two biggest manufacturers of styrene for modeling are Evergreen.
Yep.
And Plastruck.
Okay.
Pretty sure Evergreen are out of Washington State, but I wouldn't be able to tell you where Plastruck are out of. But I have some of that stuff in my. This is my bag of styrene goodies. And there's some Plastruck in there for sure.
Nice.
Definitely good.
And I know you might have said it when you were describing, Dave, but what are those pieces going to be utilized for?
So there are a bunch of different things. I'm just going to show you this. This is another knight that I happen to have handy. And on the side there, you can see the exhaust stacks.
Yeah.
There. So that's how they appear on an Imperial knight. So ostensibly in 40k, the good guys. For the bad guys, Chaos, the tops of the exhaust stacks are all kind of a little bit wonky, a little bit crazy, a little bit beaten up. They haven't been maintained, essentially. Or they might have been sort of elaborately carved into demon heads and that sort of stuff. So the tubes, I'm going to be able to use those to start to do that sort of thing on various exhausts
Cool.
that I'll have on these nights. And yeah. Also, so this is part of an arm structure for the night, and I was able to grab it for this particular size. They don't have a hand or a fist you can use, but this is from a different Games Workshop model. I don't know if you can quite see that. There we go. So it's a hand, and I've just used some of the tubing there so that I can slide it onto that. Oops.
Don't break it.
No. So that'll function as a cool arm.
Cool.
On the guy.
It's gonna look awesome.
So just something different. I think it's going to end up at kind of an angle like that, and then some of those rods and tubes I can go and use to fill another tube, do some other stuff with it. And one thing that I've done today as well is on my, you can see hanging there on my light.
Yeah. I don't know what that is.
I know it looks kind of, as I'm doing this, it looks kind of creepy, right?
Yeah, it does.
I didn't realize how creepy it was going to look when I started to do it, but
Just a little.
just a little bit. But what I'm doing there is basically I've got had some green stuff that I was using on another project, and I didn't use all of the mixed green stuff, so I had like a little ball of green stuff about this sort of size. Broke it up into smaller pieces, and then used just a ruler, metal ruler, to roll out the balls into long, thin tubes. So these are similar diameters to a lot of the styrene rods, but
Gotcha.
once they're fully cured, they're incredibly flexible. And they're easy to use for wiring and cables and that kind of thing on your 40k vehicles.
Will they? So they won't ever. Will they break? Is it a possible break, or is it?
I think if they were fully cured and they'd sort of been sitting out for a long time, and then you try to get them around a very small curve.
Gotcha.
Very tight curve. You might get some cracking on it, but generally no. So these are about 3 hours old, and there's all sorts of flex in them.
Nice.
So
That's awesome.
definitely cool. But it'll be fun to sort of mess around with these and just change up the silhouettes a little bit on the Chaos Nights.
I like it.
Good fun. Good fun indeed.
Gretchen, there is a question for you. What colors are you using for the background?
I am using a mix between white and yellow ochre and burnt umber, raw umber. So right now they're just kind of very sloppily paintbrushed on there because I'm going to build up a bit of a layer, but it's gonna, once everything chills out, it'll start to resemble kind of that old paper. It'll probably be a little bit more brushstrokey just because that's how I personally like using acrylics. I like to see a little bit of the brushstrokes, but it'll end up having a lot more depth to it than if I just put like one shade of pale yellow behind it. end up letting that dry a little bit while I move on to blocking in the other colors. That way I have my base coat, technically. Same as in minis. Need a good base coat.
Cool.
Yeah.
One thing I just need to sort of interrupt there. When you're talking about using raw and burnt umber, I saw something. I think I saw a meme the other day, which was basically like, "What is it? Why can nobody cook umber correctly? The raw or burnt? Surely there's like a medium rare version,
like an al dente umber."
That's the new paint color. That we should create that paint color.
Properly cooked.
Well done umber. I don't know what that looks like, but
yeah, be great. Definitely do it.
Also, Dave, we have a question for you from Kat. Off topic, but are you going for the pompadour or a mohawk look?
You'll have to ask my daughters. I do not know anymore. It's kind of, I don't know. On top, it's all sorts of lengths.
Yeah.
So it just does what it does now. So
I appreciate your hair. Appreciate it.
Cool.
It's a good time.
Who asked about me painting in my basement?
Yeah. A friend.
You're a friend.
And it is a little cozy dungeon for Dave.
Yep. That was Roger again.
We agree.
Yes. Yeah. This is the basement of my 100-something-year-old Baltimore row house. So all good.
So
Okay.
Jeff, are you mostly just working on Middle Earth minis right now, or do you have any other?
I have been working on a whole bunch of stuff, actually. I just grabbed one of the guys out of the case for this, but I'll show you a couple of the other things I've been working on. So this guy's done. He doesn't have his base yet. I'm still building the base for him. So this guy took it on from Games Workshop. Actually, I've been painting a lot of GW minis lately.
Oh, that's awesome.
So let's see if I spin him around.
Actually, can you hold him a little bit closer to the camera?
Do you want him closer to the camera?
Just and turn him around for the stippling.
Here, let's do this.
I want to see the stippling.
I can one better you. Well, maybe I can't. I think that's as far as the zoom will go. Let's see here. Will it focus? Yes, there we go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. If you can turn him for the, you might be able to see the stippling and the texture on the.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different textures on this guy. Yeah, you've got the texture in the cloth here. Obviously, like the non-metallics on the metals, and then like the general sort of damage and texturing on the armor. Here you can see all the little nicks and scratches, and then also you can see it's hard for me to hold it completely steady at the zoom. You can see the texture on the leather.
Oh, wow, yeah.
The leather strap that goes across his chest. So lots of little details there. A couple of like tiny little things like the glow from inside the grav cannon or whatever the heck this is. You can tell I don't play enough. I think it's a grab thing. I don't know.
Yeah, like that.
Someone in the chat tell us.
Yeah. So you got a little OSL going on there. Again, some little scratches and texture on the casing. They're kind of hard to see on the camera. And then just the sort of lens effect, the glass jewel effect on the targeting arrays, and then a little bit more OSL here on the control panel. And you can see kind of like the difference. So the colors here on the little control panel, you can see how it's casting a little bit of light onto the gauntlet around it. Mm-hmm. So you can see the glow effect there, but these colors are exactly the same as these colors on here. I just wanted this to look like it was more like a lens, I guess, and this to more look like it was actually giving off light, like it was actually an active display or something. So just kind of like how you can use the same colors and achieve a different effect depending on where you place the light and the shadow and that kind of thing. So yeah, I worked on this guy for a while. What else?
How long does it take you usually to complete a miniature like that?
This dude, well, this is a display piece. Dude, probably the mini
3 hours.
1 hour.
I wish. I would say like maybe 3, like time all together. Maybe if I were to spend all day painting him, maybe a couple weeks.
Okay.
But I don't spend all day, so it took probably 3 or 4 weeks to get there. This is an infinity piece, an infinity model that I painted a little while ago. He's almost done. I have to finish his hair and some other things, but
is that the guy that you started painting at Nova Open last year?
Yeah.
Dude, that looks amazing.
Same dude. Thank you.
Yeah.
This one I was particularly jazzed. It's the first time I tried to do like a really reflective, like sky earth, non-metallic metal effect on the blade of the sword to make it look like it was kind of like chrome. So that was fun because I didn't know what I was doing, and I'm still not convinced but it's cool.
I think the great thing is that it's because of the way that the pose there, that sword, you're only viewing that sword from one angle.
Yep.
Which really drives home that sort of result. There's nothing else in front of that sword that should be reflected in it.
Yeah. And it's funny because there are a couple of things. So if you look at it, there are a couple of things that I had to go back and kind of change as I refined it. One, you'll note the colors that are reflected in the ground on the sword are the same colors that are in the base, right? Because you want it to look like the environment is cohesive. And then if you look real closely down here, it's tough to see without zooming in, honestly. But there's a little bit of a reflection from where the red helmet that the sword is stuck into is actually reflecting on the blade of the sword. So you can see like the little point highlight on the sword from where the point highlight is on the helmet. So that was like a fun challenge. It's not something I really typically do, that effect. So it was like fun to give it a shot, and and then this is the other guy. This is the guy I'm working on right now. Outside of the context of this stream, it's this Slaneshi weird sort of guy. He doesn't have his backpack that he usually has a demonette like sitting on top, but he's kind of a weird otherworldly demon guy. So he's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Very impressive. Speaking of impressive,
Byron thinks it's spaghetti.
Oh yeah.
Byron looks like spaghetti. It kind of has that texture. It has the texture of al dente spaghetti right now. So
don't eat it.
No, I won't. It doesn't taste like al dente spaghetti. Cool. And as Kat says, wow, that looks good. So much great detail. I'm guessing she's talking about your models, Jeff.
It could be your al dente tubes, your putty tubes. It could be that.
It's not.
Well, thank you very much, Kat.
You're welcome.
Dave, did you want to talk a little bit about what you had been working on?
Sure. Give me a sec. I'm going to look to the side and cough.
Okay.
Allergies. Sure. Yeah. So I think the last couple of weeks I've been painting some chaos stuff from Warhammer Age of Sigmar, from the
I love that model.
Slaves to Darkness army. So this one is the Mind Stealer Spheranx. I might have shown this up close to the camera like this.
I didn't realize how bright blue it was because on the camera it doesn't show.
No, it would have just looked like a silhouette. Would have been like, oh, Dave, you're holding that Mind Stealer Spheranx up again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I wanted something that was like quite different to the way I usually paint. And but this has a lot of so on the rest of the army, a lot of the fur is very it's white with the base of a very saturated light blue turquoise kind of thing. So I wanted to include that in the skin on this one, or the fur on this one.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so there are colors that I use across the rest of the army that are sort of mixed across this one, but really enjoyed that. These ones I assembled probably about 4 weeks ago. Some of them painted 3 or 4 weeks ago. So these are leader characters for the army. And at the time, my local stores were closed. You couldn't get anything from them. So when I wanted to do a Chaos Lord or a Dark Oath Chieftain or a Chaos Sorcerer Lord, I couldn't get the minis, the GW minis. So I grabbed what I had lying around and did some conversion work and came up with these guys.
Ta-da!
So the one on the left there is originally a Slaughter Priest model, and he usually has a big axe. I replaced it with a hammer there. Trimmed off a few of the particular symbols that he has on him, but yeah, just went with him. The other one, and then one next to him is a Blood Reaver model that I converted into a Dark Oath Chieftain. So he has an axe in his left hand, sword in the right there, and the I didn't replace the head with that sort of horned skull. They used basically trim the front off the face, like the front off the head, to sort of put that on as a mask. So if I had taken a photo where it was sort of turned to the side, you would have seen the jaw underneath and the ear.
Oh, okay, this guy right
regular
here.
head, but this is a mask that sort of sits on top of the face.
Oh, that's
Nice.
cool.
So that was a lot of fun. And on his left arm there, on the left shoulder, well, so the model's left, which is our right as we're looking
This
at
one?
it. Yeah, that sort of horn poking out there, that's actually erupting from his shoulder. So there's all sorts of nasty sort of bruised and damaged skin around that.
Dave's favorite.
Yeah. And then the guy on the right is one of the night haunts that I had, one of the ghosts.
Yeah.
Painted in the past, and replaced the arms. So really the hands, or put the hands at the end rather than the skeletal hands. Put on the tip of the staff there, and then carved down a head to stick into the little cavity, which is usually ghostly and empty. And painted that up as my Sorcerer Lord, so it kind of has that really magical kind of feel, and not magical in a Disney way.
Disney can get dark, man. Disney can get
That's true. This is true. It's,
That's nice.
Those look so awesome.
So for those, and I think there's one more.
Yeah, I just have to scroll through the other. Wait 1 second.
All the other stuff that I sent you.
Yeah, sure. There's actually 2 more. Did you want them, the mounted riders?
Oh yeah, cool. I forgot about them. So we have the Varangard there, who are I think I've been painting on these guys the last 2 weeks, but they're the sort of chosen of Archaon. These guys are huge. Those horses are probably sort of twice the size of a regular horse. It's only twice the volume, but yeah, lots of detail on them. You can see some of that white and saturated blue there on one of the top knots.
Yeah, like, oh, yeah.
And the color on the tongues there.
Yeah, I like that color.
They used for the like the fur on the Mind Stealer, around the Mind Stealer's pharynx. So it was really nice to get those guys finished. Very cool.
And then lastly,
The last one there is I'm pretty sure I showed this one at some point as well, but it's one that I can use as a war shrine or as a Gorbeast chariot, because they're both on the same base size. But this model was one that I converted 11 years ago when the Stegodon model came out, and it just sat on a shelf for 11 years until I finally had the excuse to paint it up. So
That's an awesome model, though.
yeah.
I'm really excited that it's done.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, woo! I will use it in the game.
I really like the.
Probably going to try and squeeze it into the first one.
that you got on the bones here.
Right. Yep.
I'm a fan of that. Is the shading just a wash, or did you go back in and like?
I went back in and did some highlighting.
Okay.
Not a lot though. Most of it is I think the skeleton horde. So it's over a white prime. The skeleton horde, and then yeah, it was good.
Nice.
I like the brass caps that I put on the horns. Those two main horns at the front.
Oh yeah. I
So
didn't notice them.
with those ones, rather than actually model those onto the miniature, but rather than put putty all the way down, I just put putty at the end and kind of blended it up into the horn, so that it's so that I mentioned before. I think I mentioned before the show that I'm a little bit lazy, so it just meant that I didn't have to do much putty work.
Like an ongoing theme of laziness, Dave.
Dave.
Yeah.
What?
That's me. It's my life. Cool. But yeah, so excellent. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to share a question from the group. Give me a second. Okay, so for those watching, we have Painting Happy Little Minis, which is a Facebook group on Facebook where you can join. People post their pictures and stuff like that, but people also have questions that they post. And one of the questions that someone was asking was, I'm looking for a better lighting for my paint station. What are some good solutions or things that you recommend?
Okay. Jeff.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Are you just suggesting
The
that?
only one with proper lighting.
Are you suggesting I'm well lit? Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, let me switch this up here.
You are indeed lit.
Yeah, it is lit. Yeah. So for the reason I'm actually lit, you can kind of see the reflection in my case back there. I actually have like big, like proper kind of like studio kind of lighting. You can see that big square in the reflection. That's not.
Yeah.
That's not what's lighting my models, though. There are that would be kind of overkill. I have these are like a triple. You'd have to look them up on Amazon. There's a bunch of different kinds, but these are these triple bar or like triple tube daylight lamps. So I'll pull one down. It's like a large kind of daylight lamp like that.
So that's on a swing arm.
Yeah, it's on like a swing arm. It's attached to the back of my desk. I actually have two of them. There's one on either side here. They're a little pricey, but they have lasted, at least so far for me, for virtually forever. I don't think I've replaced one yet. And they just give like even one is enough. Like I have a large painting area and I like to kind of spread my stuff out. So I like having kind of uniform light across the desk. One is more than enough to paint by. Yeah, they've lasted forever. One of them, the ballast, I think, is starting to go, so it buzzes a little bit, but it's not annoying or anything like that. So yeah, like any kind of daylight lamp that, just look for like a nice natural light. Works pretty good for me. Bright, a lot of light. I've seen some people also use like those LED kind of things. They'll take like LED lights and fashion them into kind of a hoop around their painting desk. You can get really fancy with it.
Yep. Yeah, our buddy Nate has one of those that runs from. So he has one that runs from the front right corner to the back left corner, and the front left corner to the back right corner. So he has that double arch going over his painting area and gives out loads of light. So yeah, it's like a white balanced sort of LED thing. I have over here an OT light. This is like a travel OT light, which is great with a daylight bulb in it. And then I have a crazy sort of desk lamp, sort of 30s style desk lamp from IKEA, with not a daylight bulb in it.
/ also handy spaghetti strap.
Fantastic
holder.
Hanging, yeah.
Spaghetti holder.
Now, are you actually using the light to cure those?
Well,
or Or the heat?
When I used to have like incandescent bulbs in here,
Yeah.
these would set up really quickly.
Yeah.
But I've got a CFL in there, so it doesn't give off a lot of heat. I mean, I can put my hand right next to it. But one thing that you'll notice is that this is quite yellow light.
Yes.
And quite white light over here. Yeah. So I get that mix of it. So when I take it to a situation where it's only white light, it's like, oh, those colors look different.
Yeah, that's one thing I will say about these, that they're fluorescent. I think they're fluorescent. And they don't put off a lot of heat, but they do put off some heat. So like there are LED solutions that'll be cool to the touch and that kind of thing. It doesn't bother me, but it might bother some if, your light bulbs give off a lot of heat. Like these things do. Like I'll be sweating in like an hour for sure.
Excellent.
Yeah, like those, because they're more like photography lights, right?
Yeah. These are just like big soft boxes with like four
boxes.
4 big old, like CFLs.
They'll burn you.
Yeah. It's not.
It burn you.
It's the sacrifices that we make. You would think I stream like all the time, and I actually don't stream that much anymore. So I have all this stuff to do it, and I just haven't had the time to have like a regularly scheduled, like Twitch stream or anything. So it's nice because when an opportunity like this pops up, I can throw all my old gear back together. But it's not gathering dust.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah. You'll burn off the dust very soon.
Yeah. Or start a fire. One of the two.
Excellent.
Nice. I believe Roger Moore says, I just bought from Amazon the Teotronics LED desk lamp with a USB charging port, which is, I think, smart, because then you could potentially plug it into your computer.
Yeah.
I have one that I travel with when going to like cons and stuff like that, and it's super great. It's like some random, no name brand from Amazon, but it's really tiny. It's probably about this long.
Oh, nice.
And has like folding legs. So like Dave, I think you've seen it. Like these legs like pop out, so it creates like little 2 legs on either side and sits like this, about this high off the desk. And it's great because it actually runs off of USB power. So I can throw a battery pack, like a USB battery pack, in my bag if I'm going someplace to paint, and I can set that up, and I don't even need to be near an electrical socket, because one of the things that if you've ever taken classes at like any big con, any of them, the lighting inside the classrooms is always pretty rough. Like they're not made for, like really fine detail work. And so some friends and I used to start bringing portable, like Dave's got there, like the portable OT lights, exactly like that one, and we'd bring them to, like I'd schlep that all the way to Chicago and back, like in my carry-on and stuff like that. And it was big and heavy. And you also needed an electrical outlet. So then we got into a situation where we would see more and more people at classes that we would be taking or giving or whatever. And people would start fighting over who gets the seat closest to the like one outlet that's on that side of the wall, kind of thing. So it's nice not to have to be, plugged in.
Don't have to fight.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. How that was very convenient.
It's avoiding of conflict at all costs, Dave.
Conflict sounds like it's a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's nice to be lazy and not be involved in conflict. I like that.
Well, it's like you only want conflict in your games, not actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
And even then, minimal conflict.
Excellent.
Chris said that he has 2 OT LED lights with warm and cool settings and 3 brightness settings. So
Cool.
that is nice.
That's neat. Yeah. And someone said, "Oh, my first gen odd light just died recently." Oh
no.
Not good. I don't like the sound of that. I always make sure that I have a spare bulb in my drawer here.
It's a good idea.
So that when this bulb dies, I'll have a bulb to put in, and that's exactly the time when I order the new bulb.
Yep.
So when it arrives, it's sticking in the drawer.
Yeah, I do that too.
I think I've had this one for about, how long have I had it for? Let's say 9 or 10 years, and probably gone through 2 or 3 bulbs. So
nice.
You got to have those backups. And now I'm really, really thankful when like the supply chain for anything, like hobby related is a little bit stressed right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm so thankful, but like the things that you need, I think bulbs I actually don't have, which now that I say it, Dave, and now that you've said this, it means they're going to go out. So thank you in advance.
Not only are they going to go out, they're going to go out midstream.
Yeah. If the internet connection doesn't drop first, that's next.
I already warned them. I was like, my internet connection sucks.
I'm lucky enough that I have, I'm okay on brushes. I've got a few size ones, or at least one other size one, maybe two other size ones here in my backup. So I'm good there. I've got one of those. I've got backup airbrush needles in case I drop, and bend an airbrush needle. So those are the three things: light, brushes, and airbrush needles.
Nice.
Because you have enough miniatures.
Yeah, goodness knows. Thankfully, I can't turn the camera around right now. There is a closet of shame to my right and a shelf of shame. Or what, Dave, was it you who called it the shelf of opportunity? Somebody.
I mean, I stole that from somebody.
Okay.
I think it's somebody in the Infinite Characters community. But yeah, the pile of opportunity, basement of opportunity.
Yep.
However you want to talk about it.
I like to surround myself with the opportunity, if you will. It doesn't make me paint any faster, so I'm not really sure why I'm doing it. I should keep them in another room so that I don't have to look at it, because it's rather sort of daunting. I'm like slaving away over this one little sword, and I'm looking over at an entire bookshelf full of unpainted plastic.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Just don't look over at it.
Yeah.
It's easy.
La 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 la
I
la.
don't look at anything outside of this.
I can't hear you.
All good. All good.
So let's take a look at, if you don't mind, some miniatures from our group.
Oh yeah.
Painting Happy Little Minis. So as I said before to those people watching, we have a group on Facebook called Painting Happy Little Minis, and that's where people post different pictures of their current works in progress or just finished projects. And so here's a selection of them. We usually try and take a time during our normal scheduled programming to look at the miniatures and just like enjoy what everybody's been working on. So first up, we have Mike Evans with a Hill Giant by Reaper Miniatures.
I'm just going to do what I usually do at this time and expand the screen.
Oh, yes, you can see it there.
Oh yeah.
I move it up onto my other monitor.
This is when I lose my internet connection.
Awesome. Very cool.
I love it.
Yeah, I think Mike's been working on this for a couple of weeks, but
He showed us some works in progress photos as well. So
bless you, Gretchen.
Bless you.
Bless you. Sorry.
I'm really enjoying this. I didn't realize actually until this final photo that the face on here is a lot like Jekyll and Hyde from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember which one. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So Mr. Hyde. I'm sure that was an influence on it. But
cool.
yeah, you've done a great job on here, Mike. I'm really enjoying it. The highlighting on that. There's so much skin.
Yeah.
So much flesh on there. And the highlighting there, you've done a really great job. I love the sort of the bruising on that scar on the bicep on the right arm there. That looks great.
That's cool.
And,
that's a tough thing to get it, like when you've got like areas of flesh that are different than other areas of the flesh. It's the same thing, but like making it stand out and look different, and that's cool. Done a really good job with that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it looks perfect on this background as well.
No, that was pretty cool. I was like, wow, did you actually did you guys do the backgrounds, or did the photo come that way?
Mike did it, yeah.
That's kind of awesome, Mike. And it's to scale too. It's great.
Yep. Yeah, perfect. That's great. Nice. Oh, are you sure? Just a Lavore. Is it Lavore or Lavore?
Lavore, I think.
Cool.
The glow on the base is really neat, like the glyph glowing.
Yeah, I'm really I love that. And I'm also loving the I guess the the pieces of fabric that are hanging down from the belt.
These ones?
Yeah. I think everything there is. It's obvious. It's the yellow and orange. The orange is playing really well off the turquoise next to it, and of course there's purple. It's like a very blue purple, but in the hair on the model, and also down on the base. So it's got everything working together around there. It's looking great. Beautifully done. And while the normally you work on the face as a focal point, this one's working well as the face is still working well as a focal point, but it isn't sort of trying to steal attention from everything else.
Yeah. So
I think you've done a great job there, Dave. I really like it. Beautiful. Oh.
A Whiz Kids Bandit.
Whiz Kids Bandit.
Oh, that's cool.
I'll zoom in.
Yeah.
That's a tiny little model. That's cool.
I know.
Yep. It might have been photographed from far back.
Yeah,
possibly.
maybe.
Yeah. But no, it's looking great. I think
the highlighting on the right here is nice.
Yeah, the edge highlights on the underside of the metal are cool.
Yeah.
Very neat and tidy too.
And yeah, everything's just got a great amount of contrast.
Mm-hmm.
There are times when I always kind of falter. I don't push my highlights. I could push them probably like another 2 or 3 steps, but I don't. I kind of stop. But I think that's great that. So who painted this one again? Sorry.
Oh, Kevin West.
Kevin, yeah, Kevin's done a great
Martin.
job with just done a great job of pushing that contrast. I love the I'm like really loving the leather on that sort of bandolier.
Yeah,
It's looking very cool.
it is cool.
Nice work, Kevin.
Yeah, great.
Hooray! Roger. Excellent. Who's this?
That's cool.
Elvis Vini from Blood Rage. Crazy. I did a when was it? 4 years ago. Yeah, 4 years ago I finished off a Blood Rage commission where I thought that I had painted every model in the range, but obviously not. I did not paint this guy. This model is an awesome model, and I think you've done a great job on it, Roger.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
I love the metallics and the sort of on the back there, and of course after talking about the Stegonon with the like the metal caps on the horns, how could we go wrong with this crazy boar with caps on the horns? Nice. No, I think you've done a great job. Nice work, Roger.
Definitely.
Oh, Louise. Louise, I think Louise showed off the Hospitalia last week or the week before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but there was a shot from the front.
Oh.
And this is the top down.
And I think it wasn't on the base yet.
Gotcha.
So, but I did love it with her comment on this post in the group. It was like, oh yeah, and it looks like I have to finish painting the doves. There are always those moments when you think, oh, I'm finally done, and you put it down, and you get up and you walk away, and you come back and you're looking at it from a completely different angle, and you go, oh, nope, not done.
Yep.
You need to finish that bit.
Do we know from the forum if the work on these scrolls is that freehand or are those decals? Do we know?
I don't think we know. We don't know, but
they look super sharp.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Not sure at all. I haven't seen the decal sheet from the.
I mean, I haven't either, and either, quite frankly, either way, it's kind of a compliment because if they're decals and they look like freehand, it means you did a really good job of blending them into the model. If they're freehand and they look like decals, it means like you're super tight on your freehand. So either way, great job.
Yeah, and even the fact that like they're straight on the page.
Yeah.
Or anything.
Yeah, if you look at that line of like the top line of text in the book,
Mm-hmm.
it lines up perfectly with the top edge of the page.
Yeah.
But I'm loving it. I'm really liking the red on the cloth on the sister on the ground. Yeah.
Those new sisters models are so cool.
Yeah. I think I've painted for my Chaos Army. I've painted a lot of red cloth lately. I'm really liking that.
As a connoisseur.
As a connoisseur of fine red cloth.
Fine red cloth.
You'll have to judge my my paintings red cloth when I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Once you've done the pants.
Yeah, once I'm done with the pants and the other guy's gambeson, you'll have to be like, yes.
I will.
Nice use of vermilion.
You know what I like now, so. Excellent. Genitoro. Moonface.
Oh, that's some great old hammer right there.
Yeah. This is a model from Games Workshop from the 80s.
Yeah.
It's a Chaos Sorcerer. It's inch. And that Moonface is just awesome.
Great color palette for Zinch too. Very bright and lots of pow.
Yeah, lots of pop on it, but still, that one of the things I love about the face as well is that it isn't just yellow.
Yeah.
That you put the orange in
yellow
there.
with a nice shading and highlighting. It's bringing that orange into it.
Yep. It's almost like he's flushed, like angry. Like that's really cool. And then with a color it's not like red. Like normally when you scrunch your face up, you get really flushed. You think it's red, but this is like more orangish, and that's cool. It's really cool.
Actually, yeah, I think what's the movie? I think it's a Pixar movie about emotions.
Oh
yeah.
Inside Out.
Inside Out.
Okay. And I think on that when anger gets really angry, it has that kind of flushing like that.
Yep.
But no, fantastic work.
Yeah, really cool.
We like that.
Or easy hold, Lord of Lights, Maggotkin of Noble Army.
Nice.
Yeah, it's great. Probably about 2 months ago, I think 2 or 3 months ago, Darren Latham, who is one of the senior sculptors for Games Workshop, and he also used to be the head of the heavy metal team, who they're the studio team that paint all the models for Games Workshop. He put together a YouTube series, like a 10-part YouTube series for painting this model. I'm not sure if Casey has followed that tutorial at all, but if anybody wants to go and check that out, they definitely should do that. So
Nice.
put Darren Latham on YouTube.
This is great. It's very appropriately nerdly.
Yeah. Yeah, this is wonderful. When we were talking before about that cut on Mike's giant on the arm, this is another great example of how to mess around with the colors of flesh, and in this case, like necrotizing flesh. There's maggots in there and going around. But yeah, this is super disgusting.
In the best way.
I am disgusted by your work.
This is super disgusting, and not in a Disney.
The appropriate level of disgusting.
Yeah, but it looks fantastic, and I love the highlighting. Sorry, I always do this to Leona.
It's okay.
I love the highlighting on the mask, like the helmet there. Just that gives that nice focus to the model. Looks great. Nice work, Casey.
Snowing here.
Yep. The snow. Oh, Andrew has painted some Crusaders from the Warlord line by Reaper. Check out those swords. Look at my swords. What do you think, Gretchen? Are those swords large enough?
God, they'd be so heavy.
So heavy. But
I know, like this guy could not do that. Like,
Yeah. True.
He's magical. It's fine. It's magic.
he's like, here's my sword. I'm just holding it with my forearm.
Yeah, check out like straight out.
I know people who have trained by taking long swords and montantes and doing stuff one-handed, not like sparring stuff, but it's like training stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm afraid if I go one-handed, I'm just going to go whoop in the sword's chest.
Yep.
There you go. I don't want to yeet a sword by accident.
I think Andrew's done a fantastic job on these, not just on the. I think his metallics, the silvers are awesome.
Yeah.
I'm loving them across, particularly the guy who has the sword, has his sword out there. On the breastplate there, all that segmented armor, it's just looking fantastic. It's got great depth to it, and just looks like it's reflecting the not quite reflecting the environment. But
I'm a real sucker for like dark metallic, like nice, like metallics with a lot of depth to them, and then against a white background, like especially like a white cloth over like a gunmetal kind of metallic armor. It makes me think of like, you know, like old GW like Grey Knights, or like that Crusader character that they had recently with the silver and the white armor. It just looks really cool, creates a neat contrast. And at the end of the day, to have like a unit of guys tackling white as a primary, as like a big component of the color on them, like these cloaks are large parts of these models. Like tackling white for that is strong choice. It's good. Looks great.
Yeah,
I agree. Good work, Andrew. Nice.
Good work.
Good work.
Oh, I love this model. I miss this model.
He even said that he came across this like while cleaning up, and was like, I haven't finished it. I need to finish it.
Oh yes, it was so great. And the base that it came, I mean, it's spot on to the era. Like the base that it was on was like a little too small for the model. It's the one it came with. It was just like the wrong size, and like it's perfect. This is like old hammer in its like purest, most beautiful form. I love this.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. As somebody who is graying a little bit up top, I do appreciate that the giant's eyebrows are a bit grayer than the rest of the hair.
I love how he's painted the hair, and it looks soft and fluffy.
Right. Yep. It does. It definitely has that. It would sort of bounce a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I do love the like that striped section on the chest as well. Those stripes are just, and I've practiced painting a lot of stripes. Actually, that's the next thing that I was going to be painting on this, with some hazard stripes, and a lot of folks struggle with painting stripes, and Michael's done a great job here.
Yes,
super fine control.
Yeah, they're really, really neat, and the fleur de lis underneath too.
Yeah,
I think is that like the side on the side. Yeah,
sideways fleur de lis. It looks like
it's cool.
But great work, Michael. Nice one.
Really cool.
Josh.
He didn't say where this was from.
It
looks like a high elf, right?
The one at the front is a high elf.
Yeah,
and I think that that Hydra is from Games Workshop. I think it's the Dark Elf Hydra from about sort of 8 or 9 years ago. It was the first plastic kit. I could be wrong. But
sounds about right.
I'm really liking it. I love that
cool.
Sort of the gray-green on the underbelly. I think that's looking very cool. But I also love the fleshy bits at the back of the head. Just make it feel
Sorry, I'm like an 8-year-old. I can't not like giggle.
Sure, that's fair enough.
Sorry.
But it has a very much like an axolotl.
Yeah.
Yep.
That would be a cool hide. I feel like that wouldn't be an intimidating Hydra. I feel like it would be too cute.
Your friendly neighborhood.
Right. Possibly. I don't know.
I feel like it'd be tiny.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you've done a fantastic job on this, Josh. I love all your color choices. Really spot on. Nice work. Oh, Daniel, long overdue project this weekend. Very cool. So this is
cool.
Saint Celestine, who well, the model is Saint Celestine. I'm not sure he's painting her up differently. I think the stock model is gold armor with white sort of white feathers on the wings.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like this this version.
I like the darker color choice because I think it makes the white doves have more of an impact.
Yeah, definitely. Against that deep red and through to the orange there on the wings. Just yeah, you're right. The impact on them is so much more.
Also, I would say kudos to you, Daniel, in terms of the brushwork and the blending on the wings in particular. It's a big challenge to tackle like flat surfaces that are that large on a model and brush blend them like that. It looks really nice. You're doing a great job smoothing out the orange to the reds.
Yeah, that looks great. I love the sword as well. You got that sort of that reddish, almost purplish sort of tinge down around the hilt. And,
it's cool.
Yeah, that fade through. Great work, Daniel. Nice one.
Oh, I was so happy when I saw this because this is from a Studio Ghibli film, Nausicaa.
Okay.
And
that's awesome.
So yeah, I was really excited when I saw this.
Excellent. Yes, I'm not at all familiar with the.
It's fine.
Yeah, my Studio Ghibli trivia is very.
Don't
amateur.
worry, Leona. I got you.
I thought it was a Chocobo at first from Final Fantasy VII.
That's fair.
And then I was really excited. And then you said it was from a Ghibli film, which made me even more excited. And even though I haven't seen that one, so I'll have to check it out.
I think it looks fantastic though. All the natural tones on the is it the thing called a Kai, or is the thing's name Kai?
I don't remember.
I don't think it actually verifies.
So on the bird that it's that the character's riding, just the very natural, a lot of desaturated stuff, but even the beak being much more saturated still has that. It's not over the top kind of thing.
And I think that really pulls from a lot of the movies as well when it comes to color schemes, because most of the movies are very, very colorful, but they're a little desaturated.
Okay. Yeah.
Like they're all very colorful, but they're not, you won't find like super neon colors. I feel like.
Not garish.
Yes, everything flows really nicely. This is a little extra desaturated, but I think it makes it seem more nostalgic.
Okay, yeah. I can see that. That looks fantastic. I'm loving the, it's one of those things, I can't tell if it's like a pouch or a gas mask or something down to the...
Oh, this thing?
Yeah. It's, I'm not exactly sure what that is, but
I think it's a gas mask.
I think it's a mask.
Yeah.
It does feel like a mask. But yeah, so when I'm looking at it, I'm reading mask and I'm just loving the look of it. There's that great sort of shading on it there. But no, Joel, cool. You've done a great job. Looks awesome.
It's fantastic.
Nice work. Oh, cool. Steve Evans painted up some archers from the from the Baron's War range.
Those are cool.
So I helped Andy Hobday and Paul Hicks out last year, in September last year, I think, with their Kickstarter for the first Baron's War Kickstarter. And so it's a lot of miniatures from the Magna Carta period of English history, which is 1215 to 1217, that kind of area. Not a lot of manufacturers make models for that time period, and Paul Hicks is a fantastic sculptor, and he's got so much character into all of these guys. But they're actually running a second Kickstarter at the moment I'm not involved in that one, but I'll tell you about it anyway. I'm running a second one at the moment where, so at the end of the first one in the pledge manager, they asked, like, what models would people like to see? They were like, I'd like to see crossbowmen and sergeants on horseback and all this, the whole range of things from the period. So Paul Hicks has gone and sculpted all of those, and now they're running the second Kickstarter.
That's awesome.
But Steve, your paint jobs here look great.
Yeah.
I think I'm loving the choices. Again, we're talking about natural and desaturated and that kind of thing. We're talking about the 1200s. You're not going to see a lot of very brightly colored clothing, particularly not on sort of peasant archer levy like these guys. But I like that even with that sort of blue gray across them, it doesn't feel like everyone's exactly the same blue gray. There's going to be some variation in the dyeing of the clothing. But I think looks great. Nice work, Steve.
Definitely.
Very cool. Beautiful.
Speaking of Kickstarters, Dave.
What a great segue.
Nice job.
Way.
It feels like that was planned, but it wasn't, right?
I know.
Oh. Do that. Oh, wait.
Dave has like a sticky note like right in front of his camera that's like at some point say Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Because we're kind of, coming towards the end of our show, so I wanted to make sure that you had
really?
time to about it. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I've mentioned it before. I've worn this T-shirt on the stream, the live stream, Studio X. So Mini Masterworks, my buddy John has been working on the Studio X product for the last 18 months, I think. He and his wife sort of conceived it and worked on prototypes or early sort of concepts for things. But the Studio X Kickstarter actually goes live tomorrow. We've got some photos of it there. So these are some
excited I am.
Very cool renders. So yeah, once they went through the sort of first 6 months or so of messing around with different things in their basement. Originally, it was John's wife, Sissy, was wanting to make a brush hanger that she could stick on the wall for next to her painting area, and just push brushes up into it. So you can see the brushes on here kind of hanging down, so they push up into like a silicone lattice work that will hang onto the brushes and allow you to sort of transport them around nice and safely. But yeah, probably I think about 12 months ago they went and started talking with an industrial design firm to start refining everything and get to this sort of stage. So I talked about the brush holder. Everything that's in blue on this, I just realized that I'm using my mouse to run the cursor around
your screen.
Tell me where to tell me where.
Derp. Anyway, I'm gonna hands up. Yeah, no. But yeah, all of the blue there in the
in blue
thing is like a silicone lattice that will hold brushes in there. You can hold them, store them upside down, so that if you have any water left in your brush, it doesn't go down into the ferrule and soak the wood and expand the wood, which causes your hair, the brush hairs, to fall out. So, or
your real hair.
Well, yeah, especially if you can't get any more brushes. But this pic here is the sort of the exploded view. So the brush hanger is that sort of black and blue thing in the middle, right in the middle of the framework. Down the bottom, there are two wet palettes.
Ooh.
So you can have you can use it a number of different ways. You can have just use one wet palette. You can use two wet palettes. So if you've got two projects on the go with some different paint mixes for each project, you can have them in separate palettes. Some people like to separate their metallics and their non-metallics, both with paint water and also with their wet palettes. So you do all that. The lids have recessed paint wells in there. So if you need to use a wash or mix in some medium or something like that, you can use those. And there's shelves on the sides. Those two pieces back there sort of clip in. And on those shelves, you can fit 12 dropper bottles on each shelf. So you'll be able to fit 48 paints in there. And those two sort of rectangular panels down the front, they slide in the front of those shelves to hold the paints in place.
Gotcha.
And, yeah. At the
That's
top
cool.
there, so those two, so the two slightly deeper things that you can see there. You've got the lids at the top, and next down are the trays. So just, yeah, those bits are the tool trays, which can slot into there. And you can put, you can fit like clippers, glue, spare bases, bits, pin vise drills, paper clips, any of that sort of stuff that you might usually use to assemble models. You can put those in there. Those are the dimensions of the Studio X are about 8 inches by 8 inches by 12.5 inches.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that those trays are about 7.5 inches long and about 3.5 inches wide, and probably about an inch and a half deep. So a lot of room for fitting stuff in there, which is definitely cool.
That's
Is
very
that
cool.
the last image, or was there one more?
I think there is one more. Yep, there we go. So the wet palette. The wet palette is basically like 7.5 inches square and about an inch deep. So that's when the lid's on, inch deep, and so that matches. That's probably maybe a third again larger, 30% larger than the Red Grass Games wet palette that I'm using here. It's about 7.5 by 5.5.
Gotcha.
So it's a little bit bigger. So, but yeah, wet palette there. And was there another picture?
Nope.
Nope. There we go. Back to the Baron. But yeah, we're really excited about it. Kickstarter launches tomorrow at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 5 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.
Now you have to name them all, Dave.
What's that?
Now you have to name them all.
Yeah,
Dude,
I like
don't
it.
know.
I'm like,
every time.
That will be.
perfect.
What's Australia time?
It's going to be 3 a.m. on Saturday in Kamchatka. So if anybody's living there right now, 3 a.m. next day. You can probably sleep in a little bit. Pledge later.
Nice.
It is pretty cool. So that whole kit is $95.
Okay.
With a bunch of different pledge levels. There's one where you can actually get the Studio X mobile painting studio plus a copy of my book.
Oh, awesome.
For a slight discount. So, but one that's very exciting that I don't think I've mentioned to Jeff before is one pledge level where Alfonso Heraldez, aka Banshee, is going to be doing providing three unique videos per month for 3 months that are exclusive to people who back at that pledge level.
That's awesome.
Is a spectacular painter, incredibly passionate about miniature painting, and who's just going to be able to provide so much guidance for people.
Oh yeah.
So we have a limited level for that, and hopefully, if things go well, we've got a cool stretch goal planned for a live stream, like 5-hour live stream with Alfonso.
Awesome.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're definitely really excited about it. But yeah, definitely cool.
Very cool. Well, if I said a little, oh, do you want to say so? Go ahead.
Sorry, no, just we still haven't finished. But yeah, so that's it for the Studio X Kickstarter. Please come along. Kickstarter tomorrow. Studio X. Byron just mentioned in the chat, please remind everyone to wash their models. Someone had problems with paint bubbling. So yeah, definitely resin models. Resin models should be washed. So like all of these big guys are all resin. Washing them, you can, the way I approach it usually is get some simple green in a bowl with some warm water and an old toothbrush, which I probably have lying around somewhere. Dunk the pieces in the warm water and simple green solution. Pull them out, scrub them off, and then rinse them and leave them to air dry. Is the way that I usually approach cleaning or like scrubbing, washing resin models, so that you're not leaving it in. You don't leave it overnight. None of that sort of stuff. You're just trying to break the like clean the mold release, which is typically like a greasy kind of thing. You're trying to break that and clean that off the model. Sometimes with generally with hard plastic, so sprues, companies that use sprues like Weird or GW or anyone who's using something like that. Typically, you don't have to worry about those because they're done in stainless steel molds that are moving together and coming apart very quickly. There's not a lot of mold release on those, but sometimes with PVC models, a lot of board game models have made PVC. Reaper Bones is a variant on that, I think. Some of the WizKid stuff might need that, but you can do exactly the same thing. You've got a mold release on there, which is kind of a greasy sort of finish. You're trying to break that and clean that off the model so that the primer will adhere to it without sort of adhering to the grease on top of the model that will then slough off later on.
Yeah. You know, Dave, I would add one tip for Forge World, like resin models.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll get, I wish I had a piece here to show you. I don't have one. But sometimes you'll think you actually didn't get all the mold release, and there will be like a really slick spot. And this happens a lot on like big flat panels. And sometimes it's because either the mold release or something else has happened in the setup of the resin, and it's actually become like almost impregnated a little bit with the I don't know whether it's the mold release or just the resin mix or whatever. But it can be really hard to paint on because it will be very, very, very smooth and almost glossy. What I find helps is you can actually kind of sand it and get rid of it by taking some pumice stone, like you might have, not pumice stone, but like pumice powder. Like you can buy it in bulk. It's the same stuff that's in like Gojo and like, you know, like industrial, like mechanics, like hand cleaners with the sand inside of it.
Yep.
And you mix that pumice with some water and it creates like a paste. And if you take a toothbrush with that paste and scrub the surface, it'll actually like finely sand and polish away that layer of sort of gloss on top of it. Just be careful, because if it's very, very detailed, you can scrub away, the detail. But if it's a relatively smooth surface, you can get rid of the extra shine that way. It's not actually mold release. Just washing it won't get rid of it. Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely cool. Good. Very good point. I think I might have to post a video into the group of I don't know if you remember, Jeff. I did a Legio Custodes commission.
Oh yeah, it was huge.
10,000 points with that, and one of the models had a mold release / mold not the resin not curing properly problem, and I washed it several times, primed it, hit it with a gold primer over the top of that, and it still was bubbling through the primer, and I had all this thing that I could just really easily slough the whole thing off the surface.
Yep.
So I think it was probably more of that problem that you're describing, Jeff.
Yeah.
So now I know
Yeah, I mean, some of it you can get. You can also send it back and get it replaced too. That's another thing you can do. But if it's not too bad, you can kind of take it. You have to make the call, right? Do you want to wait for a round trip and get it replaced, or
Yeah. No, that's good. Definitely good call. Excellent.
Makes sense. So we are coming to the end of our stream real quick. Can we see some of the stuff that you've worked on?
yes.
First, we'll talk to Gretchen.
Because I've been silently like, get on there, paint. So this is the base colors that I've completed.
So good.
Oh, cool.
So I have all of my base colors down, which if you're working with acrylics, instead of focusing on like painting Guy Fieri first and then everything else, getting that color story down on the canvas is a lot more important and helps everything in the end be more cohesive.
Yeah.
So this lets me kind of mock up everything and have that bluish, that's going to end up being gray over there, bluish gray over there, which will be kind of a balance to this guy's armor over here. And the reds will be able to play off of each other. And so you can't super tell because I have horrible lighting, unlike Jeff. If I do like this, you can kind of tell maybe in the shine. But the base for what will become the horse back here is not true black. It's a kind of more purpley tinted black to add more depth to that. And the base for what's going to become his flame-themed gambeson over here is going to be a more brown-based black.
Gotcha.
Because true black rarely shows up in nature, and definitely not in whatever weird timeline this ended up being. But so yeah, that's how much I got done in our time frame. Moving kind of carefully because it's for someone, but bit by bit coming together.
Yeah, that looks great. How about you, Jeff? What were you able to?
Well, while Gretchen painted basically an entire canvas, I painted part of a sword. So I also was working on the armor and cleaning up some of the NMM gold on the armor, but just putting some sort of multiple like different sized reflections to kind of pull off the hey, this is metal effect. Put a few extra colors in there. Usually you can see like the palette for this particular like NMM that I'm doing is way too zoomed in. But just some black to gray to various shades of gray, and then you get a little bit of like blue, a little bit like a blue grayish like highlight here, and then some of these other fun tones to put in just to add some color to the to the lights that are around the sword and that kind of thing, and stop it from feeling so sterile. So there's some dark blues and greens and that kind of thing in there. And so I've added the primary highlights. I'll go and maybe add a couple secondary highlights and then call that done. So
Awesome. Yeah, that looks great.
All right, Dave, you're up.
That whole time I was thinking, man, I hope Jeff keeps talking. I hope Jeff keeps talking.
Well, that's why I painted a sword. I was talking and I was like, I'm just gonna sit here and highlight it, and I like redid the same part like 4 or 5 times. So if you're looking for completed models for me, that's not what you're gonna get on a single stream. It's just not happening.
That's fine.
Okay.
I did paint my dice. You can see the numbers a lot better now.
Awesome.
From far away.
Yeah.
And how about that? Originally it was a D20, but you've converted it into a D20.
She's like whittling.
Yeah. No, here's my D20.
Oh.
I also painted that one. I'm painting the whole set, so that is why.
Okay, that's good then. Yeah. But no, I was hoping that it was you'd managed to convert it.
That would be amazing.
Alchemy. The alchemy.
So what I managed to do was on the trim, the metal trim around these shoulder pads. So these end up sitting on him like this.
Nice.
So originally I had them base coated in tinny tin, and I was able to get some of the army painted gunmetal, and rather than just paint it on sort of smoothly, I keep dropping it. It's terrible. But I kind of did a little bit of stippling.
Oh, cool.
Kind of fairly rough sort of stippling, just to give a little bit of extra texture there.
Hmm.
So what I'll end up doing with these is I'll go and put a like a thin black brown kind of wash over them, over the metal trim, and then sort of pick out the edges with a very bright silver.
Awesome.
On the shoulder pad part here is where I'll put the house icon. I have some decals to use for that, and then because I mentioned the stripes on that giant's tunic, I thought I'd go and finish.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, that looks cool.
Hooray!
So that was painting in the last 2 minutes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I am not looking forward to having to paint a sword, like the straight lines of any. I hate painting straight lines. I'm like organic.
We can use a ruler. We can use
It's
a ruler.
fine. It'll be good.
Masking tape.
That's a good thing of acrylic.
Yeah. You can use really thin pieces of masking tape. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be good. I think I have like a little something somewhere I can use. That was descriptive, but
A little something.
Oh.
A little something somewhere.
Don't we all?
Well, thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you, Jeff, for being part of our stream. It was really
Thanks for
fun,
having me.
to have you
anytime.
guys. And for those watching, again, we are tuning in each Thursday to just kind of hang out, do our hobby, and just chat. And we're also on the Painting Happy Little Minis group over on Facebook. That's where we grab the pictures from. So if you would like us to see your miniatures, definitely post there. In general, just check that group out because it's been really fun to see the different work that people have been posting, and more people have been posting more because they have more time, which has been really fun. So yeah, we will see you guys next week. And also make sure you check out that Kickstarter, Studio X. I'll even zoom in on Dave so you can see.
Studio X.
Studio X. Yeah, so definitely check that out. That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
What time? Eastern?
Really? You made fun of me. You made fun of me of going through all of them. You want to hear it all
I'm
again?
just joking.
Noon Eastern.
All right, noon Eastern time.
Midday.
And with that, so long farewell. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
guys.